Dan Kubiszak, Chairperson of the Public Works Committee. I will call the Public Works Committee meeting to order. The Public Works Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. and it's actually 5:33 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15, 2019, in the first floor conference room at City Hall, 444 West Grand Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids. And I'll introduce myself again, Chairperson Ted Kubiszak.
Shane Blazer, Councilperson.
Steve Kofolder.
Joe Eichstadt, City Engineer.
Jay Catno, other person.
Bud Rudzinski.
All right. Item number 2, discuss and consider approval of a lump sum contract with Ramble O'Brien and Gear Engineers Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $66,300 for the design and approval of a rail extension design to serve the Metallico development. Now, I will, I guess, ask you, Mr. Eichstadt, if you can kind of describe this. I know that this did not originate out of your office. It came out of community development, but you guys are now taking it over. So just kind of give a little brief overview. And forgive me for asking this question, but as kind of a lay person, I guess I thought everything kind of was wrapped up into the developer's agreement when Metallico came into town, or agreed to build.
So yeah, just a little bit of background. The proposal's attached in the documents here. It was all part of the development agreement originally. However, being that it was a city responsibility, it was carved out separately from the construction activity that's occurring right now. So Ramble is the same firm, OBG, that's working with Metallico already, and so they're utilizing some of the outlot space, city-owned property on the south end for stormwater devices. That's where the rail would be extended to into that area. So they're familiar with the site. They'd be familiar with the whole extent of the property. We've met all those folks. So in a way, it makes sense to work with them on the project. So as I mentioned, the agreement specified that it was a city responsibility to move the rail spur forward. The anticipated funding for the rail spur is $300,000 cost from the city, with which would be funded out of the TIF for the development of the Metallico property. Furthermore, there'd be a T grant that would be applied for through the state for the jobs that would be garnished from that to pay for the other $300,000. Let's see here. So there's also a portion of the proposal here, $13,200 for survey. That's something that the engineering department is hoping to contribute to reduce the cost. The only concern that I have at this point is our fall schedule and trying to fit that in, but that's something that we're still going to attempt to squeeze in. But the proposal for $66,300 is a not to exceed amount, and its staff recommendation would be to make a motion to approve that, to move forward with it.
Now, just for clarification, this is an extension, not so much just for this particular facility, but an extension to another outlot that we could develop at a later time? Or with the current company, do they have an option on that property? Do they already have are they in control?
So the rail spur is specifically for city property. Metallico would further extend it off of one of the rails. There's actually 2 rails that would be extended. So the park, as it was originally set up, has 2 rails that come off the west end of the park and wrap around to the south. And they get about a couple hundred feet shy of 48th Street. And so this project would be to design and then eventually we construct it across 48th Street, 2 rails. That would get to, the design would be complete to the east edge of Outlot 1, so it would be the east side of the actual developable property that Metallico has. They would, on the northern spur line, they'd spur off of that into their property. The other rail would be available for a future extension further east, which the overall plan for that park was to eventually extend and wrap back up onto the main line trail going towards, or tracks going towards Plover.
Now, and in fact, this is, you mentioned that TIF fees would potentially cover this for future TIF revenue. Is this specifically in the project plan? I would imagine that it would be in the project plan because it was the TIF was designed specifically with this project in mind. So,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, and it's part of, so the construction of the rail is part of the 2020 budget proposal that we submitted to the mayor, so I'm not sure where that is in the process, but we've included it for review, so you guys should see it in there.
Yeah, I don't know where the budget is. I haven't heard anything at all, but I don't know if anybody else has. Anybody else have any questions about it?
Yeah, I've got a question. Did this company do the design for all the rail in the Commerce East?
No, they haven't designed any of the other rail. They're designing the rail spur that's going into the Metelco facility. And they've designed all of the site development for Metelco. And so, given the nature of that site and the use of the city's outlots for stormwater ponds, and then this rail extension, it made sense to ask them for a proposal to incorporate the extension into their plan set.
I guess my question, this firm is not from the United States, right?
They're from, well, OBG was in New York. This Ramble, I'm not sure where. During the Metelco project design, Ramble apparently bought out OBG. OBG, I think, is a New York firm. I'm not sure where Ramble's out of. But they have staff locally here working on this project.
Well, when the park was originally, when the land was originally purchased for the park, it was purchased with the understanding that any development that took place out there that required rail, it would be located on the north side of the park, adjacent to the existing railroad. Because we had discussed a siding with the railroad, and it was a simple matter just to put a siding in for anyone that needed rail.
Sure.
However, when rail was installed, then it went all the way around by the corn drying facility and back up on the south side of the Commerce Center. Now it looks like we're going to extend it across 48th Street to the east, and we're going to design for a further extension of that beyond the development that's taking place there now. Is that it?
Well, there's an overall conceptual plan to do that, but this design is just to get it to the east side of the Metelco development.
Well, I guess I object to this designing something that is in the future because it took us a long time to get to where we are now. You know, when we spent lots and lots of money. Rail is not cheap.
Oh, no.
Rail is expensive. And anything we can save on turnouts and additional trackage and stuff like that,
Sure.
I think is to the benefit of the city right now.
So this,
When the park was designed, I think was probably in late 1990s or 2000. And here we are, 2019, and we're first getting some development there.
so the rail that's existing out in the park today services the park tenants, I guess, the owners, the businesses that are in there, the corn drying facility.
Advanced fiberglass.
Yeah, there's a fertilizer plant in there as well. So they utilize that rail that the city put in. This design would be an extension just to service Metelco. Future down the road, there's a conceptual plan that the rail could continue and wrap back up onto the main line. But for right now, this particular rail extension is just to service Metelco.
I think, Bud, with one of the things that Mr. Eichstadt said was that this is going to be TIF eligible. and we actually created a tax increment financing district for this particular project. So if that's the case, that's where I'm kind of a little bit inclined in this. If we're able to use, and it's in the project plan of the TIF district, that we will be able to recoup that.
Yeah, how long will it take us to get our money back on this?
Well, that's a good question, and if, I don't know if Mr. Eichstadt can say it, because we had another personnel that was working here that took a job with another municipality, so, and he was the one that really negotiated this. But with the valuation of this corporation, and the improvements that they're making, it looks like we're gonna have a substantial rate of return. Now, I don't know if we've got a 2, a 3, or a 4-year payback on the specific property taxes, because there's, without looking at the developer's agreement, but I think something like this, 66,000, we will be able to recoup before the end of the life of the TIF. So. By chance, do you know how long the TIF is? Is that,
I think it's
22
it goes
years?
20,
25?
20-some years.
Yeah.
From this point forward?
Yeah, from the creation of the
Okay,
TIF.
so we're gonna be able to recoup that TIF revenue from that. So I feel confident moving forward with this. So, you got any questions? It seems like everybody left. I guess this isn't as important. But with that being said, do you got any more questions? But otherwise, I'll make a motion for this particular, I'll make a motion to approve. Make a motion to approve a lump sum contract with Ramble, O'Brien and Greer Engineering Incorporated at a cost not to exceed, and that's the key, is not to exceed. It may come in under that. At a cost not to exceed $66,300 for the design and approval of rail extension design to service the Metallico development.
Okay, and the rail won't actually be installed, it'll be just designed.
Well, eventually it will be.
Yeah, so this proposal
This
is
is
just
design.
for design.
The
And
rail
then-
will not be just.
Right, so through the budget process, additional funds would be potentially approved for the construction.
Do you second?
Yeah.
Okay. I got a motion on the floor, second by Mr. Brzezinski. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 3, adjourn. And I will make a motion to adjourn. Mr. Brzezinski seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned at 5:45 p.m.
So Shane was sitting in for.
No,
Mr.
I
Ramos.
haven't heard anything from
Okay.
Tom, so I don't.
Okay.
Did you see Tom or Elmo in it all? I don't know. So I thought he was, maybe he wasn't.